This lecture is on Nietzsche's ethical theory and his theory of truth. Nietzsche began his days as a student by studying ancient Greek culture, and he wrote a book which became quite famous, in which he broke down the culture of ancient Greek into two different related strands of thinking. There's the Apollonian and the Dionysian. These are two gods from ancient Greek mythology. The Apollonian form of culture saw art as a form of monument and had a deep reverence for the past. They also focused on rationality and logic, which is what Aristotle and Plato are famous for. They tried to see an order to the universe and looked at everything very, very logically. The Dionysians, on the other hand, saw art as an experience of life. They focused on the present and tried to plunge themselves into the moment, living for that moment. They were they stressed emotion, and there was a sort of chaos and wild freedom to their way of living and their way of looking at things. They were sort of like the Bohemians from the 1950s and 60s were in America. From his studies of the ancient Greek culture, Nietzsche decided that societies create their own morality, and therefore that each morality is connected to a particular society. He called it the horizon. You could call it the moral horizon, but it's what limits and what controls the conduct of people in a society. So, for example, today you hear much about capitalism and free markets. Well, that's a moral horizon. Government intervention for the kind of people who believe in the free market is a bad thing and conduct that should never be allowed. Whereas on the other hand, we have people who are more socialist in their thinking, and they believe that the government should be controlling our society. So those are examples of horizons in our society today. Nietzsche said that absolute statements that people make about how we should live make up this horizon. They're absolute. You can't violate them. Many thinkers have their names attached to these kinds of systems of thought. So there's the Buddha, there's Jesus, there's Plato. In our culture in America, we have Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and so on and so forth. Strong societies in the past, like the Romans and the ancient Greeks, focused on the individual. They focused on strength and willpower. Empathy was only allowed if it was self-serving. In other words, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Sure, I'll feed you today if you're hungry, but I expect you to support me in whatever I do later on. It's never equality, it's strength. Strong people rise up and seize control. And you battle other people, you don't battle yourself. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, at least the one in the 1800s Germany that Nietzsche was raised in, people were taught to try to overcome themselves, to overcome the different hungers, lust, gluttony, all the different sins that the Catholic Church had listed in the Middle Ages. These were things that had to be overcome inside you for you to become a good person. And Nietzsche says, no, revel in your hungers. Revel in your lusts. That's life bubbling up inside of you. Jesus reversed all of these values. Nietzsche felt that Jesus was the one who made pity, empathy, and love the highest values. Equality and the welfare state and other modern ideas that we have in our political theory are offshoots of this idea. The strongest are made equal to the society, are made equal to the weakest in society. And Nietzsche says because of that, they're unable to rise up and improve society. So in summary, Nietzsche's problems with Christianity, and it was also the rabbinic Jewish tradition, was that they too often dismissed life, the present life, as a bad thing. Those hungers that you have are bad. They lead you astray. He didn't like the Catholic idea of original sin. He didn't like the idealization of the slave morality where the weak are looked upon as equal to the strong. He thought it encouraged weakness. So what is the alternative to this? Freedom and health, Nietzsche says. To know that these values that we are learning in our society are totally social and are not absolute means you have freedom. You're free to be yourself. You're free to find healthy values for yourself. So his theory of truth is directly connected to his theory of ethics. Whatever makes you strong is true. The conduct of a strong person, if it's based on beliefs that actually lead to that conduct, because of course you could be mistaken about why you're doing something, or you could kid yourself. You could do things that make you strong while believing that you're empathetic and you have pity on other people and that you're filled with love. But the beliefs that really back up your conduct, if they make you strong, are true. And each of us has to search for the values that are true in our own lives. So they may contradict. And one of the things that I don't find an answer for in Nietzsche is what if someone does find Christianity and overcoming their urges, their hungers and desires to be something that makes them strong? If overcoming these things leads to strength, and according to Nietzsche's main theory, his main statement of his theory, that would be true as well. So it seems like there could be contradicting values. However, I think to be fair to Nietzsche, there are some things that will make you strong that you cannot contradict, that everybody could agree upon. So whatever values you find in your life that make you strong, we all can agree that that science is true, because science allows us to do all sorts of things. But if you go to the bookstore, you'll see many different people giving you different interpretations of science on what I call the high end or the cosmic end. There could be a God. There can't be a God. There's transcendent values. There can't be any transcendent values. I mean, you can find contradictions between people's theories based on science. So certainly there's a limit to how far you can go, but I think that Nietzsche would say that scientific truths are true. The power of the idea of gravity allows us to do so many things that there's no questioning that. So to be fair to Nietzsche, I think we have to start with that as a basis. But how much of an objective set of values, how large of an objective set of values can we really have between all of us in the realm of ethics and politics? That's the more important question. So here's Nietzsche's theory of truth summed up in his own words. There are no facts, only interpretations. There are no eternal facts or truths, as there are no absolute truths. And you should make a note that this is his famous statement of his theory of truth. So if you want to know Nietzsche, you should really know this line, the first one in particular. There are no facts, only interpretations. Nietzsche, very famously, as you saw in the video that you watched, declared the death of God. Now, God here is metaphorical. It's all objective values. There's nothing we can believe in. He didn't mean God only. He didn't mean that the Christian God or the Jewish God or the Islamic God or Hindu gods were dead, but that all objective values of any kind were dead. We cannot believe in them anymore. Once gone, what fills the void? And Nietzsche says that and this harks back to his theory about the strong in society rising up. He says, once we're free of these values, the overman, which also can be translated as the Superman, will assert his or her will to power. Now, this is not a Superman of a physical kind. This is a person who intellectually and emotionally can go beyond good and evil. That's the title of one of Nietzsche's books, and it also happens to be a famous line in that book. So the overman will rise up, who will go beyond good and evil and do what is necessary to make our societies strong. And finally, we have some famous quotes. Master morality is for the strong. Only the weak require slave morality. Man should aspire to be the Ubermensch. That's the Superman or Overman. The sick are best qualified to judge. And now here are some quotes I won't read to you. You can read them. This is his attitude towards any kind of belief in anything.